Hey guys, how's it going? Parker back here at Reether Sports. Just giving you a quick update on the Michigan State football season. I'm going to give you a quick rundown of the season that's been, the season that's quite honestly over, and what are next steps for Coach Mel Tucker and crew. I'm not going to give any more predictions the rest of the season. I think it's quite pointless at this time. I didn't give one last week because of how angry I was after the Minnesota game, and I felt like I was bad luck because our first two games that we lost were because I made a video of a prediction. So I said, why not? I'm not going to make a video last week, and well, that didn't change anything. So um, I guess we'll just start with the obvious, is that coming into this season, expectations were high. Everyone at Michigan State, every alumni and every fan in the country thought there would be maybe a little bit of a tail off, but there's still talent there on the roster to maybe at least just compete and go 9-3 or 8-4, and that couldn't be more wrong. This team is not that very good. This team's probably not going to make a bowl game. I don't think they'll make. I highly doubt they'll even win 6 games. They'll probably win 4 or 5. They'll be lucky to win 6, lucky to win 5, if I'm being quite honest. And you're going into a weekend at 2-3 against a team that completely blew you out last year. Wasn't even the same playing level last year on that same field. It looked like a high school team versus a Pee Wee football team. And what makes me think that this year's going to change it all? I don't care if that it's at home. There's no fans going to be there because we're 2-3. We're not competing for anything anymore. So what's the point of home crowd? It just also makes matters worse that the game's on ABC at 4 o'clock, and you got Kirk Herbstreit and Chris Fowler calling the game. So it's essentially last year just not college game day and at home, and we suck even more. So I won't be watching him into the game. I'm not going to waste any more of my time with this team this year, which is totally fine. I hope for the rest of Michigan State fans, I hope you do the same. Don't put yourself through any torture for 3 hours. If you want to make any money, I don't know, just don't be stupid and bet MSU, plus every game, especially not this weekend. Just bet the other team money line just to be safe. But enough about this weekend. I'm going to go over what's been wrong. And like I said before, this team just quite isn't that talented, and it's pretty clear on all sides of the ball. The defense I've talked about so far in my first 2 videos, I have no change in the opinion. I think there has to be some coaching change at the end of the season, regardless if it's at the lower level assistants, like the DB coach, or if it's just Scotty Hazelton in general. I think something's got to change. I get that the players may not be there right now in year 3 for Mel Tucker, and that's fine. We can go that route and say, oh, his players aren't that great, and that he doesn't have his players yet for his scheme to work. Okay, well, it's been year 3, and there's been no sign of improvement. There's been sign of the opposite. So I'm very concerned. Offensively, this has been kind of an up and down season. You go down in a hole at Washington and 22-0, you can't really help your defense out that sucks. And you try and make a late comeback, and that doesn't work out. And then you go in against Minnesota, who, sure, they have a good defense, but to almost get shut out like that, no, that can't happen. And then last week, you essentially moved the ball the entire first half and only scored 13 points. Could have had at least 20 points there, if not for special teams. And then the second half, when the defense actually only gave up 6 points, which is a goddamn miracle, you can't even move the ball 15 yards in the third quarter. And you try and make a late comeback again, and it doesn't work. So it's really all sides of the ball. And really, it comes down to 2 things. Is one, it's the coaching staff mainly. You get all this hype in the off season, and you get all this talk coming, which personally I'm not really a fan of. I never really was a fan. And you get all this preseason hype. You get all these recruits that come onto campus in the middle of the summer. Life is good. You're riding off a high of a grade 11-2 season, near Six Bowl, and there's all this hype, and Tucker's almost a celebrity in this. And I didn't want to say anything before the season, but you got to be careful with that stuff because now you come into beginning of October and you look like a complete buffoon. Not saying Mel personally, but the program as a whole. And that's why you don't talk in the beginning of the season when no games have been played, and you don't talk before you see product on the field, aka Michigan State Twitter. So it's just annoying, and I know that's the one part of the fan base and one part of the culture and the program that I just can't. I get what Mel's trying to do. He's trying to build a program and build generate some noise for Michigan State. I think that's great to a certain extent, though. And I really struggle to find anything, anything that's substantial in his post-game interviews and his pre-game interviews and practice throughout the week. It's the same thing every time. I don't think it's going to change. I just don't think his players are that good and his scheme isn't that great. So when it comes down to the coaching level and you don't understand to make coaching changes, that kind of plays in a big part of it, as well as your players not being that great. So that leads into my second point, which is, well, if you can't coach that well this year and your players aren't obviously that great and they can't follow the scheme and you can't score points, then why is there a culture change in the locker room? I don't think this is getting talked about enough when it comes to Michigan State football so far. Yeah, there might be execution problems, and yeah, there might be scheme problems, but I don't remember really this culture being an issue, since D'Antonio's 3-9 season in 2016. Every time the camera pans over to the sideline, I just see players sulking. No one's energized. No one's getting in anyone's faces except the coaches when they gave up another, opening kickoff touchdown. That can't happen. There's got to be leaders on the team that get the team fired up and focused and ready after every single play, regardless if it's good or bad. You've got to have the same mindset, whether you're up 7-0, whether you're down 49-0. It doesn't matter. And I'm not seeing that on any game and any sideline. I don't see it from any player. And that goes to the player-led team, is what Coach Mel Tucker keeps saying. It's a player-led team. It's a player-led team. You only go as far as the players lead the team and the captains. Well, clearly the captains aren't doing their job. That falls on Jacoby Windman. That falls on Peyton Thorne, the quarterback. And that largely falls on any other player that gets picked to be a captain that week. So I get there's injuries. I get there's been a lot of injuries on defense. And I get there's been a couple on offense. That's great. You get all this hype about the portal and the people coming in. And yeah, some of them might not start. Okay, well, they'll fill in for the injured players. They haven't played well. It's that simple. And all this moping and complaining, not necessarily complaining, but just, repetitive bull crap that I got to hear every day and every night. It's just sick and tired. And I don't have time. I don't want to waste my time on that bull crap. So, I'll save my time and energy for next year, because here's what it comes down to is now you got a team that's not really great and that could totally bottom out this year, which is really unacceptable if you think about it in big picture, big scope. But I'll allow this year. Now you go into next year where it's like, okay, if you bottom out this year, you bet your ass you better not be going 4-8, 5-7. Hell, not even 6-6. You better be going at least 7-5 next year. There is no excuse you go 3-9 or 4-8 like you did this year, which you probably will. That can't happen again. That's got to be Mel's priority. Okay, how do I get this team to be better than last year? And then how do I evaluate players? What am I doing in practice wrong, etc.? That's got to change. Could be a coaching change, which I think should happen. Could be a player change. The portal clearly hasn't worked out this year. Maybe go more extensive in the portal, and maybe that also could fall on the young guys in his new classes, maybe stepping up, and maybe their talent starting to show. Because there is a couple guys that in his first two classes that have shown some promise. They're still young, obviously, but Not too many. So he's gonna have to do something. And as an alumni and as probably a future donor, I'm not going to spend any of my money, into this. You got a brand new Tom Izzo football complex coming in. Well, okay, you sure as hell bet that that complex is not going to be used for shit in the next 3 years if we go 4-8, 5-7 the next 2 years. Okay, so he's going to have to change that. And if 2024 is really his calling year, if he doesn't at least get 9 or 10 wins that year, probably 10 in 2024, when he has majority of his good players in, or he doesn't make a scheme change or whatnot, then we got an issue. Then we gotta talk about, well, Mel Tucker, is he the right fit here? Clearly not. It's been 5 years. I don't think he is. I think it's time to, hit the road. And the thing about the contract that really pisses me off and everyone keeps talking about is that, yeah, sure, he gets paid $95 million a year. Everyone loved it last year. That's great. The thing about that is that initial contract for Michigan State University is still there. The extra money added onto that $95 million was all donors, the billion-dollar donors. Where's Michigan State getting this money from people outside that have no idea what the F they're talking about? Well, it's from the donors. We have $3 billion donors that love their program and love their school, and they want to see our school excel. So if they feel like at any point in time that he's not doing the job correctly, or they feel like it's going downhill in a quick way, and that money and that association with Mel Tucker is also associated with him, or excuse me, the donors. So that money's going to get pulled very quickly, and he's going to have to revert back to that initial contract that he had if they don't feel like that their money they're putting in is making a sufficient product. So that could happen as well next year if he just bombs out and then bombs out again. They might pull that money, and then it's a hot seat year for him. And I can't believe I'm making this video right now because after what happened last year, but it's true. It really is because of what I've seen so far and the execution of the scheme and the culture in the locker room. One thing more I'll add about is, I don't listen to any of the rumors in the locker room. I don't think the locker room's been lost at all. I don't think players are starting to butt heads at each other and coaches. I don't think that'll ever happen at Michigan State. It just bugs me that there's no excitement, with the football players right now, and it seems like there's not a clear focus. So, another thing I'll say is that, you go in the Minnesota game and you see the post game, and what really just bothers me, really bothers me, is that you got your best defensive player, Jacoby Windman, go up on the stage after, and some reporter asked, what was the game plan for you guys against Minnesota, considering that they have a decent offense, and you saw that last week when they lost at home to Purdue. And Jacoby says, well, our game plan was run first mentality. We were expecting them to run the ball first, and I really can't wrap my head around that because I can't help stupidity. Who in their right effing mind thought that any team the rest of the year was just going to run the ball first against us? Really? After seeing what happened in Washington? That's coaches right there. That's not being able to develop and adapt. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's just another ongoing thing that just happened this season, and I'm sick and tired of it. So I don't really care where the rest of the season goes. It could bottom out. You can go 5-7, 6-6. I don't care. You can enjoy yourself this weekend, and you want to go and watch the game. You want to go to the stadium, be my guest. Because, good Lord, it's going to be even worse than last year. So buckle up. This is the biggest thing, too, is that you're getting made fun of, and it's just all fun and games. And I can't. I really can't take it. I know friends that can't take it. I know a lot of Michigan State fans that just don't like it. They don't like being the laughing stock of college football right now. It's not great. So I think something's going to happen soon with this football team regarding coaching changes or player changes. And yeah, you can only take it on the chin right now. I'm sorry again. I'm not going to be doing these videos the rest of the year. I just can't do it mentally and physically. It's just going to take a toll on me. So yeah, that's really all I got. I guess I'll give you a quick prediction of the rest of the season for other Big Ten teams. I probably think Ohio State's probably going to run the table. I don't see them losing a game the rest of the year. Michigan's going to give them a good run for their money like last year, but it's at home. I don't think Ryan Day is going to lose two in a row. I don't think Ohio State loses two in a row. I think they're going to have a fire lit under their asses because of that game last year. So I think they run the table. I think they go to Indy, and honestly, I don't really care who they play in Indy because they're going to kick the crap out of them again. But I guess who will win the West? Good word, that's a toss-up. I mean, it could be Minnesota, but depending on how they played last week, maybe not. That's a complete wild card. Illinois is a team to look out for. They've looked pretty sharp. They could honestly be 5-0 right now, if not for a couple, refs and a couple bad calls in that game against Indiana. But whatever. I can see Ohio State going to the playoff, and which is typical. It's another year in the Big Ten, so yeah. That's that. That's the state of the state, and maybe I'll make a video in the near future on if anything changes, mid-season with the coaching staff or players, or yeah, that's about it. So signing off. A lot of you are not happy about no more videos, but it is what it is, man. So and for all the people and all the MSU fans that are saying, well, great, let's get on the basketball season, you got to screw us in your head. Because we're not making a tournament. So, signing off, Parker Rethra. Go Green.